Hey guys, welcome back to the shop. So, you ever have one of those projects you just can't seem to get off the ground? So I was trying to cut some material and I was having a heck of a time with this bandsaw. It wouldn't cut straight, blade kept popping off. So I ended up just having to put things on hold and cleaned up and tore into the bandsaw a little bit, got it realigned, and finally got it cutting straight. And I was cutting a piece of material off yesterday, and when a buddy called and said, "Hey, there's an estate sale that it just came from, and there's some good stuff there. You know, probably a good idea to check it out." So he gave me the number, and I gave the guy a call. So let me swing you around and show you what we got. So this is a big item, nice stake arbor press. Lightened up the wallet quite a bit, but it'll be a very handy and well-used tool here in the shop. Everything's working on it. I had to clean it up a little bit. It was actually in great shape. I just oiled it up and did a little cleaning. Had to work on the base a little bit. There's some buttons in here that intercept a couple grooves in the cast iron base that lock it into the stand. And I had to massage those a little bit to get a better fit. It probably would have been fine. It's just the OCD was kicking in, and couldn't leave it alone. So anyways, this estate, this guy has passed away, and his name is Dieter Kopal. Hopefully I didn't butcher that. My German is not very good. And this gentleman was a Master Machinist. Just had a really nice setup there at his home. I believe he worked out of the house and did some precision work. So, anyways, this was the big item. I've got a few other things we'll take a look at here in a second. Okay, so got a bunch of little miscellaneous items as well. Got a nice little scribe here and a spanner wrench, and they had a lot of high-speed steel. And after wiping out my budget on the Arbor press, I had to stay conservative and not get too many items. So picked up some various pieces of high-speed steel, a couple pieces of 1/2 inch here. This stuff always comes in handy. And got I've been needing some more squares, so got a set of Mitutoyo squares. Interesting, I didn't notice this. This made in England. I just noticed that a few minutes ago. I haven't cleaned anything up yet. This is just the way I picked everything up. Yeah, I'll get good use out of these. Yeah, interesting. They're all made in England, which is kind of surprising for Mitutoyo. I didn't know that they did that. Okay. There's our gentleman's name there. Let's see. Let's take a look at these guys. So, got a nice set of reamers. I have, just loose miscellaneous reamers. I never had a full set, so we got to clean this up still. Still a lot of chips and dirt and whatnot on here, but yeah, I mean, it's always handy to have reamers, and especially in a set like this. There's a couple missing, but I'll have to work on getting those filled in. And same kind of a deal here. Some counterbores. It's not a complete set, but you know, not too shabby. And I have a few counterbores that I can try to complete this set, and we'll have to work on picking up the ones that are missing. But nice handy tools to have. And we got a couple AXA style tool holders. What I found out is that these, I tried them on my AXA and they're a little loose, so I'm not sure what I'm going to do. I might have to make a shim and shim one side to make them usable. And I don't know if these are an odd style, or if maybe they were actually opened up a little bit with a dovetail cutter. Doesn't look like they were cut, and you know, I would think that these are pretty hard material, but yeah, it was kind of interesting, a little bit of a surprise. And we picked up some can't twist clamps. I really didn't have any of these, so something I've had my eye out for. These are the 4.5 inch and then a couple of 2.5 inch. So definitely be able to make use of these. And then this one, this was kind of an impulse purchase, if you will. I saw this and it was just too cool not to pick up. Okay, so it's a surface gauge, Brown and Sharp. Yeah, it looks like it's either rarely been used or never been used, so it's in really good condition. It's a little, a little guy. It still looks like it has some cosmoline on here, but that was just. That was just too cool to not grab. I don't know if I'll ever use it or not, but yeah, that was kind of like seeing a little puppy. You just can't leave them alone. It's a little stiff. There we go. Yeah. Yeah, so anyways, I thought that was really neat. Okay. All right, so that's pretty much it. All right, we're going handheld here. Just give you one last quick pass at the goodies we got yesterday. I put a Sharpie next to this surface gauge just to show you the scale. That thing, I'm still blown away how cute it is. It's just the coolest little gauge. So then, once again, we thank Mr. Kopal. And I don't know if he's watching down on us or not, but some of his tools and equipment are going to a good home here. Okay, thanks guys. Okay, so the hardest part about getting a new toy, I mean tool, is finding a spot for it. So I had to move a few things around. So anyways, this is its home for right now. I had to swing this scroll saw around. It used to go the other direction, and then I made a redneck welding cable holder here. I just used some C-clamps as hooks. So anyways, that's where it's going to live for right now. as I use it a few times, I'll and depending on whether I'm happy with it here or not, then I'll work on getting it bolted down, leveled up a little better, maybe get another shelf in there or something, or and then make a catch can that fits in this these slots here. So, anyways, there you go. Let me take you over and show you the other project I'm working on. So we're getting set up to make a custom tool here. Just been gathering up the material, getting it cleaned up a little bit. So the challenge here, and pay no attention to this one, this is just a sample. So these pinion gears, it's out of a marine transmission. These bearings have a, well, they don't really fail, but they get noisy and rough pretty fast. So we usually end up changing these bearings quite regularly. The difficult thing is it presses all the way off. There's no reduction in the diameter, and this is a hollow shaft. The metal, I'm sure it's a high alloy steel with a precision heat treat on it. And normally when to get a bearing like this off, you can't really get a bearing splitter under the race, because look how recessed it is into the gear. There's actually a counter bore in the back of the gear. You can grab it by the cage, and once in a while you'll get lucky and it'll actually pull the bearing, but usually the cage just explodes. You got to cut the cage off, and then you end up with the race sitting on there like this, okay? And there's nothing really to grab a hold of. You can get on this little flange on the top with the bearing splitter, but you don't get a lot of surface contact, and it tends to bend the edges of the bearing splitter, and you usually end up having to heat these to get them off. And you can see what I've done is I've heat stretched this one, and you got to be really careful. I do it just in a couple spots, let it cool in between to try to stretch the race a little bit, makes it easier to pull off. So I'm worried about affecting the heat treat on the gear hub assembly here. So the plan here is to make a custom bearing splitter. I got a piece of 1/2-inch plate, and what I want to do is bore a hole in the center, chuck this up in the lathe with the face plate. I've made some spacers so I can space it away from the face plate, and try to match that angle with a bored hole, and then I'll end up splitting this thing right through the bore, and then probably split this block as well. Make a couple of draw plates that would be bored through with a draw bolt to draw the whole assembly together. And this is a design on the fly project. I'm looking at a couple different ways to do it. One way would be to have the draw blocks on top. Of course, these will be welded on afterwards. Or the other way would be put the draw blocks on the bottom. Okay. I need to leave enough clearance so that when this is clamped in, the gear side will have room to drop through the support plates in the press. I'd like to have the whole bottom face, against the support plates, but of course there's going to be an opening here to clear the gear. But it's going to put a rolling force on this plate because it's going to be split during the pressing process. So that's the reason for having a couple blocks welded on, drilled through, and of course those will also be split so you can bolt it together to keep the plates together. So this is a design on the fly. I'm still tossing different ideas around, but this will be a upcoming video, and we'll see how it turns out. Okay, guys, we'll catch you later. Okay, I guess I should explain a little more in depth what's going on here. So this pinion bearing, there's a drive shaft runs through the center. So it's coming right off the back of either a diesel engine or a V8 engine in a marine application. And the full power of the engine is going through this gear. And as you can see, it's not that big. Okay, so imagine this in your automobile or your diesel pickup, and every bit of power coming out of the engine is going through this gear. So it's made out of a very high strength alloy, and the heat treat process, I'm sure, is very critical. That's why I'm going through the trouble of trying to build this bearing removing tool to avoid having to put any heat in these bearing races to replace them. I don't want to do anything that will affect the integrity of the heat treat. So anyways, there you go. Yeah, this one, I don't know what the failure was. It looks like there's a spot right there, see where it's shiny? That might have been the initial failure. Could have been a crack, and it could have happened under full load, or could have happened by somebody over revving the engine and slamming it in the gear. But these do fail, okay? Not as often as the bearings fail. The bearings are under tremendous stress because they have to counteract the side forces that this gear is producing when it's under full load. So anyways, hope that helps explain it a little bit. Alrighty guys, thanks a lot. We'll see you later.